Hello and welcome into Rebecca K Crochet. I am Becky, your yarn host, and this is my jacket that we are going to work on. This is a springtime jacket that I made, and I'm not sure what's going on outside there. My dogs are barking. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, this is the springtime jacket I made with the Vortex, which is Big Twist, which I think you can still get this possibly. I'm not really sure, but I am going to make my next one out of this Vortex yarn. This one's called Northern Lights. It calls for, it's a 4 medium worsted weight yarn. It calls for a 6.5 millimeter hook, which is what I'm going to use. And it has the colorways Northern Lights, which is what I'm going to call the jacket. 100% acrylic and 328 yards, 300 meters. Now, I will tell you, this jacket took almost, but not quite, 5 skeins or balls, cakes of this. So it goes, I'll insert a picture right here to show you what it looks like on. This is actually the colorway that I used on this jacket. It is Beachy Splash. And I will tell you, when I was working this up, I did not like the way this was looking. I like it now, but I did not like the way it looked whenever I was trying to work it up. So anyway, let's get started with the jacket. I will give you the gauge that you need and everything else. So for my gauge swatch, we're going to be doing these in panels. If you can see, this is from here to here is like a panel. You're just going to be doing, it's just going to be in rows. But from here to here measures 3 inches. So you need this, and you're going to be working it like so. So your first 5 rows needs to be 3 inches. And then 3 inches across is 9 stitches. So it would be 5 rows and 9 stitches. Should give you 3 inches. If you want to be able to do it the exact same size as mine, that's how I did that. So now what we're going to do is we are going to get started. Okay, now that I found the end of my yarn, we're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. I am using my Susan Bates as always. And well, this is a 6 millimeter. This is not a 6.5 millimeter. And this is, a USJ. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 208 stitches for it to be my size. Now what you want to do is you want to measure how this is my pattern. So let's say you have your jacket here. That's the inside of it. There's your sleeves. I don't draw very well, but we can get the gist of it, right? You want to measure from the bottom of your jacket, from here. We're going to build this going this way and back down the other side. So you want to know what it is going up over your shoulder and back down the other side. So if it is from the bottom to the top, if you want it 34 inches, then you would add 34 plus 34, which would give you 68 inches is how long you want your panel to be, because we're going to make one panel. And then we're going to attach the panel at the back and start with our second panel. This will be made all in one deal, and you'll understand a little bit later. So if you need it to be 68 inches, which mine's probably roughly 68 inches because I'm tall, you know, I'm almost 6 foot tall, to go over my bottom, which is how I like my cardigans to be most of the time, I normally needed about 34 inches long. And so it'd be the top of your shoulder down the front is how I would measure, and then you double it. Or if you have a long enough tape measure, you can throw the tape measure over your shoulder, and I show you how to do that in the other video that I've done. But you can throw your tape measure over your shoulder. I would just go from shoulder to shoulder. Or if you have a cardigan that you like that fits you really well, take from the shoulder seam down and then double it, because it'll have to go over the back of your shoulder on the other side, and measure it that way. So we're going to chain. I am going to chain 100 or 208, but at 104 I'm going to place a stitch marker at the halfway point. So chain your 208 or whatever you decide that you need to be, measure it, and then, like I said, at 104 or your halfway point, put a stitch marker, and I'll be back. So now I have 208 chains, and at my 104 I put my stitch marker. At your halfway point, that's where you want to put your stitch marker. Then what you're going to do is, in your second chain from the hook, so the one on your hook doesn't count, and the second one from the hook, so there's 1 and 2, we are going to do a double crochet. That's yarn over, poke through, yarn over, bring up a loop. You have 3 on your hook, pull through 2, pull through 2. You're going to yarn over and go through the next stitch, and you're going to do a double crochet. And we are going to do this double crochet all the way across to the very end. And whenever I get my double crochets all the way across, I will be back. If you don't know how to do a double crochet, I have it more in depth on a tutorial on my channel. You can just look around and find that. I will also let you know that this is going to be more than one part, because I'm going to do this at the same time you guys are doing it. Like I said, I have the one made already. I wore it all spring. I got a lot of compliments on it. But I wanted one for the fall, a little bit darker colors, not more, not the springtime colors. I wanted the darker colors. And I wear a lot of blues, and that's why I did this color. So you just do your double crochets. The first row is the worst, I will tell you that. But you do your double crochets all the way across. You do not worry about your stitch marker. You do want to have a stitch marker that will lock in place if you've got a store-bought stitch marker. One that locks, you don't want it just sitting there, because you're not going to do anything with that stitch marker until we get ready to start the next side, and then I will show you what to do with it. So it's just going to sit there and hang out while you work this back and forth. Like I said, this is a long panel. You're going to be working it. This is going to go, if you want to do stripes on this, you can. It will go up and down your body, so the stripes would be up and down your body. They're not going to be around your body. Because I am a plus size lady, I don't do stripes around my body. They make me look like a Oompa Loompa. And I won't do stripes going around. They're just not flattering. Up and down make you look skinny, so give you an illusion of being a little bit thinner than you actually are. And so, but if you want to do stripes, you can. You can change your colors however you want to with this one. You just choose when to change colors. And like I said, I will be doing this with you. So next week, whenever you get the next installment of this, I will be just barely ahead of you probably with what we're doing. It's going to take between 2 and 3 weeks to finish this cardigan, so we're going to call it a crochet along. Like I said, I will be working on it at the same time. So if you guys do have questions, all you have to do is email me or send me a comment in the chat and I will respond. If you don't understand measurements or, whatever, I will be making my panel roughly 11 inches. That's the one thing I did not tell you. You need to measure from the middle of your breast bone, your sternum. Measure that across I would go across your breast and then like under your armpit, right under your armpit, will probably give you the widest part. If you are smaller chested, you need to measure your hips from the middle of your hip across to the side where your pants are, where the seam of your pants go, to see how wide you need to make your cardigan. You want this to be wide enough at the widest point. I have more of an hourglass figure, so it doesn't matter if I do hips or if I do breast. It's roughly the same. But I always want it to go around my tummy more. But this is also, you can try this on as you go. So that makes it really, really nice also. And like I said, we're just single or double crocheting all the way back across. And I show you how to measure. If you don't know how to measure for a garment, you can take one that you already have and measure that and see how wide it is, if it fits you really well and how you like it. I would measure from seam to the opening of the cardigan and make it that wide, make your panel that wide. You can always take other clothing and do that if you don't want to measure your body or if you have a hard time measuring your body. I have done that, and I have measured my body, and I have done all kinds of stuff. So I like the ones that you try on as you go, because then you know it's going to fit right. And I will insert a picture to show you what I'll probably make it the video, but the thumbnail for the video. That's what we're looking like so far. It's just double crochets all the way across. And then I will be back here in just a little bit and show you what the next step is. Okay, I'm coming up to my stitch marker. It's going to be my very next stitch that I do, or next couple. I'm going to go over it. You just crochet right around your stitch marker. You just leave it alone and just let it hang out there and do its thing, and just crochet right with it and go right on by. And it will hang out there for the time being. Like I said, because you're going to be flipping this back and forth and using it, you want to have a stitch marker that is secure. Like this one's, it's got a deal that you just pop it. I don't know if you guys have seen these stitch markers. They've been around forever, but you just pop them off like that and just squeeze them together. You can use any stitch marker as long as it can be secured and you don't want it to come apart, is what I'm saying. You don't want to lose it, because then you're going to be counting again, and it's easier to count while you're counting and just pop it on there while you're counting your stitches the first time. Because let me tell you, we're going to have a lot of counting with how long this is. Okay, so now I have 205 stitches on my hook, and that's what I want. You need an odd number. I forgot to tell you that at the beginning. You need an odd number. So if you have an extra stitch like I did over here, I just tightened it down so that I'd have 205 because I should have had 206. So start with 207 on your hook. If you're going to do the exact length of mine, do 207 stitches instead of 208. And you should come out with the correct amount. And you should come out with 205. So then what we're going to do is we are going to chain 1, 2, turn our work, and then in the next stitch that's going to count, and in the next stitch we're going to double crochet, and we're going to do the same thing in every stitch across, double crochet all the way across, and we should always have 205 stitches whenever we're doing our double crochet rows. And we're going to do this until we have 5 double crochet rows. So we're going to have 5 double crochet rows, and then I will be back to show you what we're going to do after. In our 6th row, I will come back and show you the 6th row. That's the only change that we have. So we just double crochet all the way across, do 5 rows, and then I will be back. Okay, I have my 5 rows done. Now we're going to start on the next little piece that we're going to put in here, which is called, some people call it windows. It's actually an open stitch is what it's truly called. So we're going to chain 2, turn our work. Now your sides should be straight like mine. You shouldn't be bumped at all. I just wanted to point that out. We're going to chain 1 more, which is chain 3. We're not going to, this one is already got our stitch in it. So we're going to skip 1, and we're going to double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next one, chain 1, and we're going to do that all the way down. Skip 1, chain 1. Double crochet on the very end and knot it where a chain should be. The other thing is, whenever you go to make this panel, which is pretty long, mine's 34 inches long. When you go to make the panel, you want to make sure you get it as wide as you need it. Like mine is going to be somewhere between 12 inches, roughly 12 inches, between 12 and 15 inches, depending on how oversized I want it to be. I do like my cardigans a little bit oversized because I wear, you know, I'll wear a sweatshirt or a heavy sweater under mine sometimes, heavier clothes under my cardigans, because I don't wear coats. I only wear cardigans in the wintertime. So I like mine to be a little bit oversized so I can move around and move in my clothes and don't like them tight and snug. So depending on how big you want your cardigan, you can make it, you know, however wide you need your panel to be. The length is up to you and the width is up to you. We're skipping 1 and working into the next stitch. And this is what you should be looking like. You should have an open stitch. and then whenever we come back, we'll start back down here and we'll crochet in the double crochet and in the chain space whenever we come back across, but I'll show you that whenever I get done. And I'll be back whenever I get to the end of the row. Okay, here I am at the end. I have this one and one more. I need to chain one, skip this one, and go into the very last stitch, making sure that you do the 2 on your hook. And so now we have our open stitch created. So then we are going to chain 2, which counts as a stitch like always. And we're going to do a double crochet back down into the skipped stitch, or our space, and double crochet into the next stitch. Move this out of the way so you can see. Double crochet into the space and double crochet into the next stitch. And we're going to work that all the way across. Just like so. So now what we're going to do is we are going to repeat rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now we're going to repeat them again until we get them as wide as we want our panels. So how you figure out how wide you want your panel is you can either measure another sweater and see how wide the panel is from under the arm, under the arm all the way to the middle of your cardigan or sweater or whatever that fits you how you want to. You can try it on as you go. I know that my measurements, what my measurements are, and so it's like, let's say that I wanted mine to be 48 inches around. So if I had a 48-inch measurement around, take that and divide that by 4, which would be 12, and I would make my panels 12 inches wide. But then you need to have a little bit of ease, so you may want to do it 50 inches. So you would just measure out until you get to however far you want. Now remember, this is supposed to be 3 inches from here to here, with another about 1/2 inch for this one. So you would take 3.5 inches and multiply that out however wide you need it to be to get your width, how many repeats you want to do. That's how I do it. But if you have problems with this and you need me to help you figure that out, just give me a shout out and I will be happy to try to answer the questions if you have a question. But this is a try on as you go, and just repeat this all the way up until you get it ready for next Friday, and I'll be back next Friday with what we do after we get our panel as wide as we want it. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.